What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 421 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. Joining me, as always, is my best co-host, Alex.
Hello.
You hear that? You're the best.
I'm glad.
You are you're my number one. It's first off, get it out of the way. We're doing a justice. It's just the two of us. There's a sticker that you can buy that references the justice. So when we say justice, you can. Anyways, OMB podcast, ombpodcast.bigcartel.com. That's where they can find it.
I think so.
They can find some sweet sticker. But
it's definitely in the link tree on the Instagram.
Exactly. Go there. It's also on the facebook.com/opinionsmayvary. And there's merch. You can give us money and we'll give you wares and it'll be a good time. Anyways, so it's just the two of us. We're doing something a little different this week, but it's insanity, and one could make the argument that it still is within our usual realm of stuff that we talk about, because we do talk about games, but
it's
a
current thing that's going on, but it seems pretty important, and I want to apologize if you're already tired of hearing about it, but it's pretty ongoing and like it hasn't resolved yet, and no one knows exactly when it's going to resolve because as we speak.
Literally as we speak. This is a living, breathing event. We're talking about GME and the GameStop short squeeze. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. First we're going to preface a couple things here. The first thing being, neither me nor Alex are financial advisors. We're not here to offer any advice. None of this should be construed as advice or telling you to what you should be doing with your money. We're simply talking about a crazy event that's going on. Literally, like Alex said, it's minute by minute. There's new stuff happening. Like as we were just meeting to talk about this, it's like, oh, this is happening. Oh, there's a lawsuit. Okay, it's insanity. But I wanted to get that out of the way. And Alex, if you also had something that you wanted to.
The other thing I wanted to preface this episode with is that there will be more language than usual because I try to hold off on swearing, but it has to do with Reddit. It has to do with a specific group on Reddit called Wall Street Bets and how they refer to themselves and each other. And if you've ever watched Wolf of Wall Street and other movies where like guys are real like kind of tough and manly and call each other names all the time, and they do a lot of that. So if we're referring to posts or like comments, they call each other retards all the time. They call each other autists. They make jokes about their wives' boyfriends and giving them hand jobs.
Wow.
That
one's new to me.
It's like a recurring joke, and like it cracks me up when I see it like happening more and more. But we're not here to make fun of anyone. It's just terms that they're using that we are now using. Hopefully we don't get through it that much, but it's unfortunately it's just, I want to say it's the culture within this subgroup. So that's why it'll be coming out like that.
It's a very strange form. I don't know if you could consider it satire or if it's just, I'm not trying to explain it, but it's one of those things. I like Reddit a lot, despite what I've said, like way back when we first started the show and I used to shit on Reddit constantly. Reddit's one of my go-to things just for straight up time wasting. And Wall Street Bets is one of those groups, one of those subreddits that always pops up in like when you search by like popular or by all, because like there's your own personal Reddit and then there's just what everyone else is seeing, the most popular stuff. Wall Street Bets is a very common subreddit that pops up, and I never really understand anything that goes on with it. I don't have a lot of investment knowledge myself. I've seen The Big Short more times than I can count, but I don't think that really makes me a pro in any sense. I typically don't know what's going on in that thread. From what people have tried to explain it to me in the past, and it's just a bunch of like people who think that they're Gordon Gekko, and like and they're making bad decisions with their money and then posting about it on Reddit.
Yet
Um,
the before this week when I would see it kind of like scroll by, and I would like look into it, and I never wanted to get involved because it just looks like a lot of mistakes and
yeah.
and just a lot of gambling that I didn't want to get involved with. But
They currently have, as of right now, it's January 28th. They currently have 5.2 million subscribers to this subreddit. Right now there's 810,000 people online this subreddit right now. That's like Xbox Live numbers
mhm.
for, Halo 3 back in the day.
Wait, you said
Um
800,000?
800,000,
My pen.
doing some maths.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to, I mean, again, I haven't even refreshed this page in a couple minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
come
it
back to
jumped up a little bit.
that number later.
So yeah, Wall Street Bets. It's kind of calamity. Yeah, I don't really. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of language, but there's also a lot of technical language
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like I don't know what any of this means.
Oh, there are
I
plenty of
learned
times
about,
today where I had to go look stuff up.
right. Yeah, like I spent a month studying calls and puts and all that stuff, studying for Series 6 licensing, but that was 4 years ago, and it has completely evaporated from my brain. Um, So I'm going to let you take over with this
Mm-hmm.
because you have a much more expansive knowledge than what's going on. I mean, the only thing I can say, GameStop is it's a video game company. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. They buy and sell video games, and they offer they offer you a lot less than you paid for it when you try and sell it back to them. So that's our jumping off point.
So, hedge funds, Wall Street stuff, and big money bankers, stocks,
Men in suspenders.
yeah, with expensive shoes and ties. Um,
And a lot of cocaine.
one of their ways to make money is to research stocks and research companies. And a thing at some point they started doing was I'm going to uh, borrow a bunch of shares so that I can sell it, and then I'm going to buy it back when it goes down, and then I can give it back to whoever I borrowed it from. Um, and that's called shorting. So in their research, they're looking at GameStop and they're like, well, it's a holdout brick and mortar store. They need physical presence in things like malls that are dying. They don't really have an online presence, and they're going to bet that eventually the company will fail. And they decided they're going to put a lot of money into this company failing. And the way they do that is by not owning their stock, but borrowing it from a broker, and they sell it immediately. So let's say they sell something for $30, and they'll kind of like tell the market like, well, we in our research we saw that their their intake is going down, their retail is going down, they're selling less stuff, they're making less money, and as you can see here, their stock just went down a little bit. But behind the scenes, that's because they sold it. So when you sell something and there's not much demand for it, the price goes down. And so by letting out this research, they're influencing the market so other people want to get out of holding on to it because they don't want to lose money. So then they sell too. So the price goes lower and lower. By doing that, they can then just buy it back at, say, $5. And then when they return it to the broker, whoever they borrowed it from, they get to keep the $25 difference. There's a lot of other stuff because as they borrow, they have to pay interest, and that is a percentage of what the share is at. So if the share goes up, they have to pay a higher interest to the broker.
I'm actually sort of following you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I don't know the exact numbers because I'm not super good at this, but let's say they borrow a share at $30, and they're paying like 5 cents per share. So that's not much. But let's say they own, or now they borrowed 100,000 shares. Well, that's 5 cents times 100,000. So
Right.
that's what they're paying like per day or per month, or depending on how they set up their borrowing. If the price goes up to say $60, Now they're paying 10 cents per share, and that's more than what they planned on.
Right.
Well, now that if the stock goes up higher and they still, like, time runs out and they have to give it back to their broker, they have to give back stocks, but they don't own them right now. And what's weird is that they never did. And what they have to do is buy it back at the $60 rate so they can give it back. But the act of buying up more shares drives the price up higher. So they can get through a bunch of 60, but then the next one is going to be 60 and 20 cents or $61, $62. And if, let's say, they could buy like 30,000 at a time, they've still got 70,000 left to go. So now they're driving up their own price, making these purchases. So that's like the basis of shorting. I think I got it. I'm not an expert, so don't come at me. But this is like the explain it like I'm 5.
Yes. Yep.
I've
ELI
seen,
5.
Yeah. I've seen other posts describe it with like Donkey Kong and bananas.
The bananas was the one that really got me like, okay. Because again, one of my favorite movies in the past 10 years is The Big Short, which is literally about how people saw that the housing market was going to crash. Despite the fact that it's never done that in history, and they bet against it. They bet against something that has never happened in the history of time, and they were right. And they made a ton of money while the rest of the world lost. And it's a fantastic movie. Highly recommend it. If it's both entertaining and also insanely depressing. But that's the extent of my knowledge. And like even then, because they break it down in that movie. In very layman's terms, that you get like celebrities to explain like the complicated parts. Like here's Margot Robbie in a bathtub, and she's going to explain the act of shorting something.
Okay.
And here's Anthony Bourdain. Have you ever seen The Big Short?
No.
Oh, huge recommend, dude.
I meant to watch it today, but I didn't have time. I was busy watching stocks go up.
Of course, yeah. There's important things happening with the stocks. So yeah, like, and then they get like Anthony Bourdain to like explain how CDOs work and all this stuff. It's a great movie. Big recommend. But anyways, that's the extent of my short knowledge. But even this it's different, and it's when people talk about like short squeezing and calls and puts and hold, I don't understand. Like I get confused very easily, and that's probably the point. It's so people like me can't be like, oh, I'm an investor. And people who work on Wall Street want people to be confused. They want to make, only I can do this for you, so you better pay me a premium.
Well, the whole
to
idea
make these decisions.
of not actually owning something, but then selling and buying it when you'd never had it in the first place,
right,
is ludicrous.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna sell my what's McFarlane's Spider-Man issue 381, 385. I'm gonna sell my first appearance of Venom that I don't actually have, but then I'm gonna buy it back because the price will go down. You can't do that.
I'm gonna sell you the idea of this Venom, of this first appearance of Venom. So in theory, you're gonna own it, but actually, I'm gonna buy it back from you. But it turns out the price has actually gone up, so now I'm out money.
So to move on. This group in Wall Street Bets on Reddit found out, because hedge funds usually say when they're going to short something or when they are shorting something. There's ways to find out that I don't have knowledge of following. I've seen it referenced a bunch of times.
Right.
Like level 2 and I forgot already. Anyway. So what happens is that they saw this company was being shorted, and they don't like Melvin and Citron, and Melvin's the main one that's doing the short because they do this all the time, betting on companies to fail, also manipulating the market so that the companies fail, so that they then make all the money. So it started as a meme and as a joke, like we've said Wall Street Bets does. They gamble a lot. They take big, huge risks. And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. Or for some members it pays off and others it doesn't, because that's how stocks work. And they started buying up GameStop stocks. knowing that if they can drive the price up above what Melvin paid for it or what Melvin sold it at, then when they buy it back, they have to buy it at the higher rate. And
Right.
since they will be forced to buy so many, that's going to drive the stock up even higher. And that's when the individual people like you and me and, the retail sector, I guess they call it, can then also sell once it kind of tops out. My dad always talks about how my uncle did a lot of investing and would say, buy low, sell high. But you can't predict where every low and high is going to be. Because once you think it's there, it starts going back down again and you miss the high. Or when you think it starts dropping and you sell and then it drops, or you buy when it's really low, well, it keeps dropping and you could have bought lower. It's real difficult to like really make that call. So more and more, I want to, but I don't want to. More and more of the retards on Wall Street Bets decided, yeah, we'll keep buying it. We'll tell other people to buy it. We'll all buy it. And then you hold on to it because you have to hold it. Because if you sell, then that will keep the price down. And they need to drive it up because that's how you make the hedge funds buy more of it. Because at some point, they have to return what they borrowed. They have to get those stocks back. And it's not like they owe like 5 stocks. They owe almost more than half of what stocks exist. So so the numbers that keep getting repeated is that they owe 140%, which means they need to buy back all of the stock and then 40% more, which means that eventually they'll be buying it from themselves.
I saw a thing online that said that there was one of the hedge funds, like they're valued at like $13 billion.
Yeah.
And they owe more than that.
Yeah.
Like, holy God. The money that's at stake here is staggering.
So just scanning the comments on Wall Street Bets and learning all the lingo, they've adopted "this is the way" a lot. So when one person comments, "this is the way," the rest follow, "this is the way." And the one that I got you with early in the week was talking about diamond hands. And having diamond hands in this group, I don't know if it's investing thing in general, means that you never let go. You don't let go of your stocks. You hold them forever. You hold them until it goes up. You hold it until it goes to zero. But you don't let go. And that's
what's the benefit in that? Like, is it just like a pride thing?
Yeah.
Or just sticking it to the man?
A bit of both.
Okay.
And so I was posting like about it, like a little ashamedly that I was getting myself so involved because a friend asked something and I posted gifs of diamonds and then hands. And then somewhere else I was saying in a friend's thing about how I've been scanning these comments so much that while I was at work pushing boxes every half hour, I was just thinking in my head like, diamond fucking hands. So like Jared messaged me, he's like, yeah, can you explain to me the diamond hand thing? And I say, it means that you're not a paper-handed bitch.
Yeah,
sorry.
You do. It was jarring. He straight up called me a paper-handed bitch. And like I laughed a lot, but I was also like, ow. I don't have paper hands.
I apologize.
No, it was great for the memes. It's just, and like I get it. It's like when you're a part of this thing that's just so current and breathing and living, and it's so easy and fun to get wrapped up in. And honestly, like I've been looking forward to for some reason, I don't know what the algorithm is. My Facebook application for a specific handful of people, like my wife, my brother, you, and like 2 other people, whenever you guys post on Facebook, it gives me a notification. So it'd be like, Alex updated his status. Maybe it's just because like I interact with your stuff the most, or I don't know. So like all day I've been getting notifications and I'm like I get excited to see what the next post is because the memes have been hilarious. They're all and also kind of short. It's funny, but it's also real sad. Which I imagine we'll get into that soon. Um,
So
but
I
it's
I want to finish the second half.
yeah, yeah,
So
yep.
having paper hands basically means you're a coward. That
It
you'll
means you sold
you'll buy into an investment and it'll move a little bit and you'll get nervous and dump it and not
because
like
it just fell right through your paper hands.
you're not resolute. You're 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 not firm in your stance against the man, and so you end up losing some money here and there because if you held on to it and like, oh, it might just come back up, but you
I
you sucker paper hands.
in it's funny every time in my ignorance and me trying to figure it out myself because I refused because I knew we were going to be talking about this,
Yeah.
but and so I refused to like go and look up because I wanted to hear it from you, like I wanted to like what does diamond hands mean? But in like just browsing Wall Street bets, what I thought it meant and what I came to like, and it's kind of embarrassing. Like I thought it meant like you have steady hands, so like you ain't doing no clicking on websites, like selling your position. Like my hands are diamond,
Right.
like my hands aren't shaky. I'm not nervous. Like
No, you're right. It's usually diamond hands is followed by hold in all caps because you're
and
not
rocket
selling.
ships.
So the rocket ships are because the plan is that the stocks can go so high it'll go into outer space and
Of
to the
course.
moon. But now everyone's decided that the moon isn't high enough and it's going to go past Mars. And, and what you do is you stop at the moon to refuel and gives your wife's boyfriends a handy as you continue on to Andromeda.
Jesus Christ.
So,
Oh man.
none of this I'm making up. this
Right.
is I've seen this repeated all week long.
I'm sure if you browse Wall Street bets for more than 5 minutes, you'll see references to everything that you just mentioned.
And even like, and so this guy Jim Cramer has a show on CNBC where
Oh
he
yeah.
talks about stocks and investing and everything, and he's been getting tagged constantly, and he'll have to reply in his Twitter like, you can't just keep sending me rocket gifs or rocket emojis and expect me to talk about whatever you're doing. Like he's complaining about rocket ships on his Twitter and shit.
Which just further emboldens,
Oh,
the
yeah,
the trolls
yeah.
and the, you know,
So the effort started by some. There's a user who goes by Deep Fucking Value, and they've been posting their position for over a year because they like they YOLO'd like as much money as possible into GME, into GameStop, and they've just been posting how it's been going, and they'll just do
were they
like
like the originator, like the person who put
pretty
the idea in everyone's
pretty
head?
much, I believe so,
Right.
because I you can follow Deep Fucking Value, um, because and that's all they've been posting. And one of the things is like, well, we don't know who it is. Who is it? And other commenters in Wall Street Bets will be like, they're the fucking man, so just shut up.
It doesn't matter.
It does. It really doesn't. But every couple of days or every week or so for the past year, they've been posting, an image of their positions and when they bought in at like $4, and when they buy more. So you see like multiple levels of what they invested at. And so now they're calling for, I'm going to refer to them as DFV from now on. And DFV should be president in 2024. But that's who they've been looking to. As long as DFV is posting that they're still holding, then they also want to hold. Because right now they own so much. And they'll sell when DFV sells is part of
Right.
the idea. Because that person actually knows what they're doing. So we get to about like 2 weeks ago, and it's I haven't checked recently. No, it's right here. Let me check I have a graph up right now. Let's go to a month ago. It was still at under $20. And it
which
was
even then is, according to Wikipedia, the record low for GameStop
mm-hmm,
was $2.57.
mm-hmm.
So at one point, it was trading as low as 2.57 a share.
So even
Because
if
everyone
you,
knows, GameStop has been floundering for years.
yeah. So if you bought like 1,000 shares at $2, that costs you $2,000, right? Yeah, math. And
A
then
little extra, but yeah, more or less.
you sell when it hits like 20, because you have 10 times your value, right?
You're making
Something
good
like that.
money.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, the highest point it's been at since then is $468, and that was today.
Right. Yeah. This morning, I believe.
Yeah.
According to the Wikipedia, because there's straight up, there's a Wikipedia page just on this event. And again, this is Wikipedia, so anyone could be posting this, but it says on January 20th, 2021, GameStop shares open higher than pre-market, reaching a high of nearly $500 a share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a spike in volume being traded at about the 13th, the 12th and 13th. There's a lot of volume being passed back and forth. Let's see. Ooh, over 30 million shares on that day. And there's about, I believe, 74 million total. Forgot where I saw that. Anyway. And from there, like, it's kind of a fairly steady climb. Or no, it's pretty flat until you hit this week. And
right. That's when it's been going crazy.
It starts going crazy because the time at which the hedge funds have to buy it back is getting closer, and like it's coming up on a special time. And more people have been deciding like now's the time to get in. And it's been stressful and exciting. Yesterday there was a point where looking through the comment section on like the daily posts, because there's groups that have like high or subreddits that have high volume will sometimes have like a daily thread for people to go talk about what's going on. And this group has had to have like multiple because it gets to be too much for the servers to handle. So it's like we're gonna close this one. We'll start like our second one for the day.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, because
I don't think I'm a part of any subreddits
70,000 comments on one thread.
Right. With like 400 awards, and they're just all rocket ships.
So there haven't been many comments from the hedge funds and the big investors yet, and the people that are holding the shorts. They've been, as far as I could tell, they haven't like said a lot about it. They may have been on a show here or there and saying they're not worried, they're in control, or and stuff like that. And yesterday a thing happened where they called into like CNBC and financial cable shows and whatnot saying everything's fine. One of them said they closed out all their options, and it's like they don't own anymore, so it's not gonna skyrocket because they're not holding. They've closed their shorts. They're done. And they're saying, and other people who are on the internet in this Reddit are saying that's impossible. Like maybe they've closed 5 shares, but not their other 3 million. So
right.
they're just lying. And they did this on multiple shows. They also threatened to get the SEC, which you're going to see a lot, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission of the government who investigates this kind of stuff. And so they threatened Reddit with that too, that they're going to come, and what Wall Street Bets is doing is market manipulation. And they're like, we just like the stock. You're going to see that a lot. We like the stock. That comes up all the time. And there was also a lot of old accounts and like bot accounts that were posting to the forum trying to drive interest away from GameStop. They're trying to drive it towards other stocks that are going to do the same thing. They're trying to say, like, well, don't buy a GameStop. Sell your GameStop and go buy something else. And there was a lot of that happening. And last night, like Reddit, the mods shut down Wall Street Bets for a while just to like try and clean it up a bit, to handle
Right.
the higher volume of people commenting and joining and reading and whatnot, and
A little
get
bit
rid
of
of
housekeeping.
and just get rid of some of these fake accounts. And these all happened around between 3 o'clock and 3:30, so it was a clearly coordinated attack to try and get the retail people to sell. So it may have
Right
worked
before
for
the market closes at 4.
yeah. So it may have worked for some, but like everyone was telling all their autists to hold and don't give in, have diamond hands.
Right. Diamond hands.
And that was yesterday. And so many posts of like different people who kind of know what's going on, who know what to look for, who have access to the right information, and are saying they're scared. This is them trying to run like a scared play. They're almost done with. And then there's the aftermarket where retail people can't buy or sell, but like bigger financial investment places can. So like you still see the number changing, even though like, oh, I can't do anything about it. And you kind of panic when it starts to go down, but they're trying to manipulate the market after close.
Right.
And that will also set in a panic so that like, well, I'll set mine to sell as soon as possible when it opens tomorrow. And that's what they were hoping for. But overnight it went back up again because there's still people in other countries when, the time comes around. So when it gets to the UK, like, well, they're buying GME. People in Japan buy GME. People in South Korea bought GME. And even they're like, no, we get it. Like, we should hold this for a while so we can squeeze.
Is that why, according to the Wikipedia this morning, because it closed last night at 347.51,
Mm-hmm.
and then it opened this morning at 193.60? Is that was like part of their
No, that's
like, oh look, it's dropping, you better sell.
yeah. So what I'm looking at right now, it closed at 193, but in after hours, it still went up to 326.
Gotcha. Okay.
So today, it opened real high at the nearly 500 mark, which is insane.
Yeah.
There's a thing
Considering
go ahead.
it's GameStop. Like, what at the end of the day, it's GameStop's stock. What is happening?
I was looking around trying to look for videos with good explanations or like had insight that I wasn't getting from some places to figure out like, am I doing this wrong? Like, is this actually happening? And there was one guy who like he got the market and like the technicalities of what's happening, but he opens with, oh, well, it's mostly gamers on Reddit and they like games, so they like GameStop, so they want to support GameStop. And I'm like, no.
That couldn't be more wrong.
and like one of the comments I saw was, hey, remember when you brought a bunch of games back to GameStop and they offered you literal pennies? And now they're still trying to offer you literal pennies for your GameStop. Don't take it. Don't take it.
Yep.
So the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ can do this thing where they issue a halt on the trading. There's pauses and then there's halts. And if too much of something is happening, then the New York Stock Exchange could just be like, well, we're going to put this on a cooler for a bit. And it stops trading for 5 minutes. Nothing can happen for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Just so in case something weird is going on or something's funky, they can take a better look at it.
Such.
Yeah. So they'll go ahead and halt it. So on the 22nd, what was that? Friday? Where's my last Friday? The 22nd, there were 3 halts on GameStop.
In one day.
Yes. So so before that, there had been none. There was a T1 and a T3, like in October of last year. Not this year, but last year. I looked up what they were. That's like, there's news. News was pending on that day. and resumption times, and also news. So it's just like
Right.
the company had something important to say, which is different from a halt. Monday of this week, there were it's tough to scroll through the thing and still count. There was either 7 or 8. On the 26th, that was Tuesday, there were 4. Yesterday, Wednesday, there was 3. This episode is going to be up on Saturday, though. So we had 3, 8, 4, and 3. Today, which is the 28th, a Thursday of January, when it opened at almost $500. Do you have a guess?
Was it just immediately halted? I'm gonna say
Like how many times was it halted today?
right. I'll go with 6.
Before noon, there were 18.
That's like hours.
What's 18 times 5? That's
I'm literally pulling up my calculator because I can't do that math in my head. It's 90 minutes.
Yeah. Trading was stopped on GME for 90 minutes today.
Which is like an eternity.
Yeah. And the market was like, whoa, what's going on? Stop. I'm not sure if the chart I looked at.
I wonder if that's a record.
I have no idea. I don't know if that was, if the chart I looked at only had up to about noon, because there was others still happening after that for other stocks. I wasn't counting other ones that showed up today, because I spotted this and I was like, I want to take notes on that. Now after noon is when silly stuff started to happen, and things like different brokers were stopping people from buying shares.
Right.
So there's multiple comments on the Wall Street Bets about who is actively allowing buying and selling of shares and who was restricting them. And one of the big ones was Robinhood. And you could no longer buy GME on Robinhood. And it was found out that they have so much invested with Citadel and vice versa that they're basically manipulating the market. And after 1 p.m., major hedge funds started selling to each other for really low prices, like trying to drive the price down. They're saying, look,
right.
it's tanking, it's going down, everyone should sell.
You
don't lose money, you're going to lose money, look how far it's going down. And all we're doing is selling to each other. If we go back to like that banana analogy you might have seen, the apes have like 20 bananas, and there's 3 snakes, and they have 1 banana. They're just passing it back and forth between each other, saying like, look how cheap this banana is. And
you should sell all your bananas for the same price.
Right. So that's what they're trying to do. Now, with the price that low, people's ability to buy at that price, to try and buy more, was being restricted because Robinhood wasn't letting people buy. So if you poured your money into an account for Robinhood, and then like you expect to be able to buy your stock, but you can't, that's market manipulation.
Right.
I heard TD Ameritrade briefly had like a hiccup where they weren't allowing buys, and E-Trader also was one. I think a T212 or 212 was one of them also. And watching the UK people like already have laws in place and how you could report it like as it's happening. And I'm like, man, we don't have that. People are just going, oh man, this sucks. Robinhood sucks. I guess I'll leave.
Isn't it funny how that works?
I guess I'll leave a 1-star review on the App Store.
That'll show them.
That's all we can do. Unless, do you know a lawyer? Who knows a lawyer? We have to find a lawyer. They're expensive as shit, though, man. I don't know.
Spend all our money on GME.
So now the market's being manipulated. The price is down. For people who can buy, some of them do, and they get in. But that's still kind of pricey, about at least $200 a share. And it goes back and forth like that for a while. The trick to look for that I spotted that another person shared was if you watch the volume being moved, it was really low volume because so many people are holding and sitting on their shares. and not moving them. So it's kind of clear, like, it's the same 30,000 shares getting passed back and forth. It's the same banana.
Gotcha.
And that's way, like, this is how big Wall Street is hating the internet. Because while things are happening live, some people have the information and the knowledge to say, look, this is bullshit. This is a lie. Whereas when these bigwigs go on TV shows or, you know, go on a live stream and say, we know this is correct because we did research, or we know how to do this. This is how you do stocks.
We're the professionals.
Well, when they're on that show, if there's no one there to call them out on their bullshit, then people are just going to assume they're right.
Right.
And while they're live streaming from their library, no one's there to say, no, that you're full of shit, man. Like, this is why you got fined for $2 million last week. Whereas on the internet, this can be pointed out and evidence can be brought to eyes immediately. And so Wall Street is starting to figure this out, and they're terrified of it, which is why they're just doing so much to try and make it so that they can win.
I've seen so many analogies, and the one that sticks the most that I've seen in the memes and on Twitter and stuff is, you're playing your brother in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And you're both down to one stock, and you land the dope combo, and your brother's about to lose, and he gets up and he shuts off the console.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like they're doing for, like, the first time, not the first time ever, but they're not winning. Someone's beating them at their own game, and they're turning off the console.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm not even a part of this, and it's still so frustrating to see, because it just, especially these days, and I know we harp on the fact we don't talk politics on this show. We try to be an escape from that. Mm-hmm. But it's just, man, is it frustrating to see how many systems in this country are rigged against the little guy.
Yep. And it's so many people are furious and pissed because they're not even hiding it. I'm going to forget who it was or where I saw it. But like a chairman for an investment thing was saying, like, no, we wanted to stop it because it shouldn't be that high. It should be at $17. So we're just going to not let anyone trade until it goes back down to $17, because that's what I think it's supposed to be.
That's where it should be. That's where it belongs. So,
and he's laughing about it the whole time because he knows he has control. And while he's doing this, though, he's basically breaking a couple of laws.
Which is amazing.
So I wish I had that one pulled up. I might try to look for it. That's who it was. Interactive Brokers chairman was on CNBC. Asked why they halted training, he said, honestly, to protect ourselves. And then there's more quotes within the thread of bullshit that he said. And he was just laughing the whole time. He's like, well, that's not what I think the fair value should be. So I'm not gonna not let anyone play the game. It's mine now.
I'm not winning, therefore you can't play.
Mm-hmm. So even just, I'll say within the afternoon after it happened, after Robinhood stopped selling GME or stopped allowing people to buy GME, there is now a class action lawsuit. There's at least one. And there'll probably be more. And then they'll all get lumped together. And they're trying to convince people to look into it, the SEC to get involved, the Securities and Exchange Commission. AOC's been tweeting about it. Elon Musk tweeted about it. Ja Rule tweeted about it. And it's been crazy because it's weird how it's been oddly unifying. Unity has been a weird term for the past month. But that's what's happening now because this has become a common enemy. Donald Trump Jr. is saying this shouldn't be happening. AOC is saying it shouldn't be happening. Ted Cruz is agreeing this shouldn't be happening. And it's like, wow, it's nice to have someone on my side for once. And when the little guy thought like we were going to be targeted, and we're seeing like, no, we're just making it really clear that we've been the victims and we're still being made the victims now. And so I'm going to watch it tomorrow because it'll still be up. But AOC is having a live chat on Twitch with some guests.
Yep.
I'm going to want to tune into that later. But seeing like how many other people are going, yeah, man, that's bullshit, because it is. And what's getting kind of scary is how many of the people who are currently holding, who are just ordinary people, the little guy, aren't like, some are in it for the money and some are in it for blood, because they want these hedge funds to lose. They want them to go bankrupt. They owe so much money. Right. They won't be able to exist anymore. And I forgot his name. I'm going to look it up. There was a very good interview.
Oh yeah, that you had posted earlier,
mm-hmm.
where he like explained. Yeah, that was a good video.
The guy was asking, like the host of the show was asking about what he thinks of what's happening, and if he agrees with it, and what did he sell at and what did he buy at. This was I'm going to kill this. Chamath. He had a great interview. Was on.
He mentioned he made $500,000 off of it.
Mm-hmm. That was on CNBC,
which he promptly donated.
Yeah, and he told a brief story about how many people who are on the internet today were still kids in 2008 when the market went to shit and the mortgage crisis happened and the bubble popped and lots of people lost their investments. Lots of regular people lost their retirement fund, their 401ks, their college fund, and the people on Wall Street who orchestrated it didn't suffer at all. They got bonuses because
they got big fat bonuses.
The government was like, "Oh, they need to be bailed out. We can't not have banks. Here's a bunch of money," and then they just got handed money. But like the school that tried to invest their renovation money, they didn't get anything back.
The people who chased the American dream and bought a house, who thought they'd never be able to afford one,
mm-hmm.
lost that house and quickly found themselves underwater because the banks are too big to fail.
So the way he worded that, I thought, was great.
Yeah, it's a quick, like, 3-minute video. I recommend. Do you know what show it was on? I can't remember myself. But it was just a quick 3-minute video of him explaining it. Like, he talks about how he's like, "Yep, I made some money. I donated it." He donated to the Barstool small business fund thing that they have going on. Which, never mind your opinion of the Barstool. Everyone has their own opinion of it.
That was that was on Halftime Report.
Got it. But yeah, he made some money. I saw a thread on Reddit. I don't know how legitimate it was. Maybe it was like the original guy. Some guy was up $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what in the hell have I been doing? And it's so easy to look at this with hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 2020 and everyone and their mother, including myself, has been commenting, man, I wish I got in on this. It's really easy, but like it's a risk. The stock market is risky.
Mm-hmm.
It's not guaranteed money. Oh, I'm going to put my money into the stock market and then I'm going to get more money back. That's not really exactly how it works.
Okay, so now if you want to get madder,
great.
During the point today where they were trading, where the hedge funds were trading to each other, they were still shorting the stock, which means if they had bet it would be under $20 5 months ago, and now it's not going to be, well, then they can short it again and say, well, now it's going to be under $50. And if they don't think that's going to happen, they could short it again and say, well, now it's going to be under $80. So they haven't given up. They're doubling and tripling down and giving themselves more shorts they have to cover. I mean, when they're trading back and forth, they weren't making a lot of sales. They weren't covering a lot of their shorts, as they call it, which means like what they can buy to give back to their who they borrowed it from. But they were doing that a little bit, but still that was over what they planned on paying.
Right.
Imagine being able to say, hey, I'm going to borrow $20 from you. No, I'm going to borrow $30 from you now. Never mind, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to borrow $50 from you now. You just keep doing that when you haven't paid back the first $20.
But it's fine because we're on Wall Street.
It's okay. Remember how you said the current users on Wall Street Bets was 800,000?
Yep.
So if each one of those users owned only 10 shares, that's 8 million shares.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And but I've seen people, you know, they're little guys who it's a weird term to use, like, oh, it's a little guy. But in opposition to hedge funds that have, you know, $8 billion to spend, people are still joining in with one share. Some people can't afford that much. So there's guys who are like, oh, I own 0.3 shares. Because every little bit is something.
I've seen people online just today. They're like, you know what? I bought a share. I just want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe make some money. Who knows?
It's the plan. But it's
make some money while toppling, billionaires. It's always a good idea.
So what started out as a plan to make some money back and kind of try to stick it to the man has now become practically a driven revolution, because these tactics are just being made so public that what the bad guys, the hedge fund people, are doing is that now the government is getting an eye on it, and people who are in positions of like financial review can now target them and be like, you were on the show, you're on video saying you manipulated the stock, you tweeted saying like what you were doing, and these are illegal things. Unfortunately, the SEC can't like put people in jail. They can only fine people. And when your fine is, say, $8 million and your company has $15 billion, it's not that big a deal. They'll just keep doing it because they have more money than you.
And the craziest part, like, not the craziest part because it's all crazy, it's not even just GameStop.
No.
There's like new stocks every day that are being like, people are like, oh, yo, check out this one, because there's AMC, the movie theaters,
BlackBerry,
and I thought I saw one other that was like that they couldn't buy,
like NOV or something, or NOK.
Yeah, but it's not just GameStop. It's like scary how good. You remember the internet historian? But there's internet historian.
I'm gonna love the internet historian about this. Just the way he can craft a script is gonna be so much better than any way I could word anything.
Go to YouTube and look up internet historian. He's a guy who puts out like one video every couple months just on crazy things that happened pretty much on the internet for the most part. And he did a couple videos on like Shia versus the MAGA trolls.
Yeah.
And like hiding that the flag, the "He will not divide us" flag or whatever. And how they used like charts for, like they saw a plane on the live stream go by, so they brought up the charts of all the plane. It was insanity on how thorough people can be just by using the power of the internet. And like I feel like this is a similar vibe. Like you can't stop these kids. Like they're too smart.
Mm-hmm.
They got nothing better to do. They have a vendetta,
It's a
and maybe they'll make a little bit
pandemic.
of money.
There's literally nothing else to do.
Right. And everyone was taught by Nintendo back in March how to read the the stock market, STALK. Because in Animal Crossing, you can buy and sell turnips on the stock market. And every day, because you can buy your turnips
Mm-hmm.
for a certain amount of price, and every week the price changes. You can only buy them on Sundays. And every week the price changes. So if your friends have a better price, you got to fly to your friend's island and buy them there.
Hmm.
And then every morning and every afternoon, the price is for how much you can sell them. And like some days it'll be less than what you paid. Some days it'll be like, usually, I paid $92 a turnip,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm selling them for 500, or not dollars, excuse me, they're bells. And I'm selling them for 500 bells. And you make out like a bandit. And of course, because this is a video game, algorithms, people made spreadsheets with, depending on how much you bought them for and depending on how much they're
Mm-hmm.
selling for today, that'll give you the better odds of it. You're going to get a big jump later on in the week. So you can straight up commit securities fraud in Animal Crossing and manipulate the stock market. That's how I made my millions and
In
paid off my house
in the way back when I would play
in the
Star Wars,
game.
when I would play Star Wars Galaxies, um, there was an outside of the game website that would track uh, animal quality for rangers. So if I wanted to hunt banthas, I would put in what server I was on and what planet the banthas were on, and I would see where the high quality meat, hide, or bone was. Because you can only trade the highest quality stuff, like the right percentage. And if it's a low percentage, no one wants to buy it from you. Or if they do, it's just like to mess around and like practice, but not to make actual good sellable items. And that's sometimes I'll get on and go and check that. I was like, oh, I gotta go I have to be in Dantooine today to hunt some Vinox for good meat. Bring back to Tatooine. That was a thing. Anyway,
Obviously. It's pretty much the same thing.
but Vinox are different from Minox, by the way, in case you were curious.
Everyone knows that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Remember when they land
So,
inside the worm cave and those
yes.
flying things cling to the ship?
Yep.
Those were either Vinox or Minox. I forget which one.
Huh.
Yeah.
Of course there's a name for it.
But
Oh, the Wikipedia article for the GameStop short squeeze
Mhm.
does have a list of other affected stocks, including AMC, Bed Bath and Beyond, BlackBerry, Express, and it goes on. There's like 20 stocks listed here. And it's just because this is going to launch a whole new thing. Everyone's going to be looking for
yeah.
the next big one, the next like, oh, I'm going to start because like it's like this is like what's gripping the country right now,
Mhm.
Like
This is never going to happen again. Something on this level, at this rate, with all the civilians involved, and with the hedge funds doing what they're doing, and with the government looking on, and this is never going to be this big ever again.
Do you think because of like regulations that they're going to put in place, or just because this is a rare thing that it would never happen again because so many people are keen to it now?
I want to say the hedge fund investors will realize like maybe they overplayed themselves here and they should not mess
Right.
up this bad again. Because in 2008, they didn't get punished and they realized they're invincible. So they could do what they want whenever they want. And this time, entire companies are going to go bankrupt. And like, well, maybe they'll get it now unless they can just manipulate their way into getting whatever regulations they want to prevent the retail investors. And that's what a lot of them are saying. Like, well, we shouldn't have retail investors because they don't know how to do this the right way. Or there are also people saying GameStop should just release more stock. so that this doesn't happen, and there should be a 30-day hold on the stock where it should be halted and nothing can happen so everything can calm down. And all these are from people who are on the inside.
Right, who are missing out on this.
Mm-hmm. Who are on the wrong side of history, you could call it. Now,
yep.
This being Thursday the 28th, when this episode goes up, this might have been played out already. This may have been
this
something
might be old
huge.
News.
This may have not equated to anything, and we're all fools. Or people could be going to jail. We have no idea. We're in the middle of something, and even Elon Musk was saying you can't sell a house you don't own, you can't sell a car you don't own. Why can you do this with investments?
Right. It's scary what you can do with fake money, and again, I'll harp on it all day. Big Short's one of my favorite movies, man. It just, and it's also scary what and how cavalier people can be with their money, with other people's money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's totally legal. Oh man, but how wild is it to be working at GameStop right now?
Even then,
at least
like,
it probably makes the day a little more interesting.
People are still saying, like, we're not saying GameStop's an incredible company. Like,
right.
I know plenty of former employees who have horror stories.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever met anyone who previously worked at GameStop who was like, "Oh hell yeah, I loved it there."
But
so it just happens to be the name associated with the stock.
Yeah. Part of the main thing is an initial investor who now has board seats was convinced that GameStop should go online and try and do more physical stuff over mail and shipping. Right. And that's why he's confident that this will be something big and good. But to reiterate, we're not financial advisors.
Yep.
We're just, something is hot and happening right now, and there's a lot of varying opinions on it, and we felt we could contribute in case people aren't following or don't want to wade through the cesspool that is Wall Street Bets.
It's a very confusing thing, especially if you know nothing about it. And we thought it would be fun to talk about. Again, we are not professionals. None of this should be taken as any sort of advice whatsoever. Nor do we condone the language.
No, yeah, right. That's
used within certain subreddits, Wall Street Bets and things like that. But
next month we'll get
an amazing thing to witness.
We'll get back to talking comics or cosplays or Kickstarters or any of the above and games. We'll get back to our usual stuff. We might still be on internet. I might be talking to you through a new mic. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
What?
It depends how the next few days go.
It depends on how my position ends up. That's exciting. Yeah, I thought this was fun. I thought because you are like on the up and up, I thought it could be fun to chat about. Well, if anything, just for the memes. You know, at the end of the day, we have something to laugh at for a couple hours. So
yeah,
at least there's that until, you know, it turns out that the little guy gets screwed again and big banks and Wall Street and all that win again. But hey, time will tell, I guess. Yep. We'll see what happens. But hey, man, thanks for giving me the lesson, giving me the intro to Wall Street Bets 101.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the same time. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoy this. Again, go check us out, all the usual socials, facebook.com/opinions may vary. We're also Opinions May Vary on Instagram, OMV Podcast on Twitter and YouTube. I believe the outro buffer has all of this anyways, so I don't know why I'm saying it. Buy some merch. We have some stickers and some pins. It's the new year. New year, new us. Let's get it, boys. I don't know. Paper hand diamonds.
Don't be paper hands. Be diamond hands.
Don't be paper hands. No, we're not giving advice.
To the moon. To the moon. Rocket ships. Rocket ships.
That's gonna do it. That was our brief foray into. No, we're talking about video games. It was GameStop, right?
Yeah,
Video
yeah.
games.
Yeah, game stuff.
Usual thing. So that's gonna do it. Until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And this has been episode 421 of Opinions May Vary. Hey everyone, if you liked that episode, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Opinions May Vary, and on Twitter and YouTube at OMV Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify or on our very own website at omvpodcast.com. And if you're looking for merch, we have stickers and pins available over at omvpodcast.bigcartel.com while supplies last. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought in the comments, and we will see you next time.